All right, my name is Tanner Barker. It's February the 12th, and this is my reading journey video for my young adult literacy seminar for Boise State University. So I've made this box that tells the story of my reading journey. The first item on my journey is this. This is a copy of The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. The story behind this, it's the very first chapter book that I ever read. My grandma, when I was young, probably about 5 or 6 actually, she used to always take me to ZCMI Mall in Utah, and she'd get her hair done and I'd go with her. I'd go with her because she would buy me stuff afterward and treat me to lunch. And on this particular occasion, we finished the hair appointment, went to the bookstore that was below the salon, and I really wanted to buy a troll doll. 90s kids probably know what I'm talking about. So a troll doll just had weird, crazy hair and crazy costumes. I liked them and collected them, and she said I could buy one if I also picked out a chapter book. And so I picked that one. It had a cool dagger on it. The golem in the background behind Bilbo looked really scary. So I bought that. I read it in a day and was hooked. I love The Hobbit. Now, it wasn't, though, until about 1993 when this movie came out. Obviously just the first movie, but I love all three of them. Jurassic Park. In 1993, I was 7 years old when this came out, and it was the summer, and I was doing swimming lessons. And I really wanted to see Jurassic Park, but my mom wouldn't let me. Now, what she used as an excuse to not let me was that we had to jump off this big high dive in swimming lessons, and I was too scared to do it. So my mom said, if you're too scared to do that, you're obviously too scared to see Jurassic Park. And so I jumped off of that diving board to prove I was old enough, and I saw the pants off of that movie. I loved that movie, even though it did scare me really bad. But it got me into reading at a different level. Before that, the only book I'd read was The Hobbit, but after seeing that movie Jurassic Park, a whole new world of books opened up to me. I read Jurassic Park, and I read The Lost World, and I read all the Michael Crichton books I could get my hands on. And that also opened me up to nonfiction because I became obsessed with dinosaurs. I read all these different books about dinosaurs and paleontology and different extinction models that were being used in academia, and I read that avidly, loved it. So then we come to these two books here. This is my dad's copy of the play Hamlet, and this is a book by Ray Bradbury called The Illustrated Man. My dad introduced me to these books, first to The Illustrated Man, and I was just astounded with the way that Ray Bradbury uses the English language and uses imagery to bring you into a scene. And then Hamlet, I didn't like Shakespeare, I had no interest in it, but when I found out that my dad liked Hamlet and that he had introduced me to The Illustrated Man, well, I trusted him enough and I respected his taste enough that I figured I'd give it a shot, and I've been obsessed with Shakespeare as well. Now, the other crucial role that my dad played in my reading journey was as a child. And he helped me to become a reader, and he helped me become a good dad in this way, because he would read to us and sing to us, and most importantly, he would make up stories for us as we were going to sleep. So while we were getting ready to fall asleep, he would make up a brand new story off of the top of his head, and they were stories about Opie the penguin who had slippery feet, a sci-fi story called Bug Game, A story about a guy lost in the desert and a magical horse named Golden Boy, a stick named Felix. So he made up all of these stories, and that got me thinking, one, about just books in general, but two, about producing them, about thinking as a writer. And I've had that ambition ever since. Ray Bradbury is fundamental to my reading because he's probably my favorite author, although that feels like picking my favorite child. But Ray Bradbury, is an amateur scholar of many different academic pursuits, is someone that I respect, and I want to do what he did. Next in my reading journey is this tiny little book here, the Webster's Unabridged Dictionary. I inherited this from that same grandma that bought me The Hobbit. And I use it all the time to look up words and find their origins and just kind of play around with the English language. That brings me up until I became a husband and a father. And doing those two things actually changed my reading as well. So here's a picture of my lovely wife, Danny. She's absolutely terrific, far better than I deserve. And what we do all the time is we read to each other out loud. We'll read the same book, and we switch off every 2 pages. And we've read a lot of books that way, most notably the Harry Potter books. So neither of us had read or seen any of the Harry Potter movies or read any of the Harry Potter books until we were married. Didn't have anything really against them, just for whatever reason we never got around to it. But when we started reading, we were hooked, and so we'd read out loud all the time. We had different voices for each character, and I'd be at work and I'd call her on lunch, and we'd read out loud to each other over my lunch at work. And we really kind of became obsessed with that. It was the way we grew closer to each other and grew close to books. So we also went to Orlando and we visited Harry Potter World. We went to Hogwarts, and I got this wand there, Sirius Black's wand, if you can see it there. And so we're definitely Harry Potter nerds. Danny threw me a Harry Potter themed party for my birthday last year. Now, becoming a father has changed my reading it even more. Here's my 2 beautiful kids at the Dinosaur Museum in Thanksgiving Point in Utah. Joseph is 4 and Lucy is 2. And as I read now, even stuff that's not for young adults, not stuff that they're way too young for, I read with them in mind because, one, I want to use reading to help me to be a writer and provide for them, and I want one day to write something that they'd love to read. But 2, because I want to help them to become readers. We read together every night. I haven't started the tradition of making up new stories for them, but I'm sure I will, as my dad did for me. And it just kind of helps me to get this whole new perspective on readings. What would my children think of this book? So that's kind of my reading journey in a nutshell. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good day.